Q&A Fridays. I'm Joy Houston, the CEO here of Heal at Scale. And the questions that we are getting today all seem to be around the lab test funnel. Obviously, that is a factor of having just wrapped up the Labs to Leads Summit. If you need access to that, just you could DM me if you're on Instagram. You can message me if you're watching on Facebook. I'm trying to feed two birds with one seed today and talk to both the Facebook group and my friends on Instagram. So we're just going to dive right in because there were quite a few questions and I want to make sure that everybody gets them answered. So one of the questions that came up is, if I am doing the lab test funnel, what are my options for taking payment? And that's a really good question. And you have great options. Both of the options are wonderful. So I'm going to start with my favorite option, okay? And then I'm going to tell you a backup option. And I'm going to tell you exactly why some practitioners choose that option so you can make an educated decision for yourself. All right. Hey, Jessica, how you doing? Let me know which offer you choose, actually, Jessica. I would love to know. Okay. So the first offer for accepting payment for Lab Test Funnel is that you go ahead and take people to the registration page. So remember, you guys, we're always, for Lab Test Funnel, the flow is always like this. Okay. We do symptoms-based content in kitchen table language, not medical jargon. So everybody's understanding exactly what you're talking about. You're not like speaking over their heads. Okay. If you need an example of that, just remember the one that I gave regarding hormones when we talked about this on Wednesday, which, medically we might say something like, oh, someone had a cessation of menses, right? But the woman would never say that, right? She would probably say like, oh, my period disappeared or my period stopped. Okay. Jessica is saying that she accepts payment and orders the lab herself. That's my favorite. Yay, Jessica. That's my absolute favorite. Okay. So we do symptoms-based content in kitchen table language, and then we tell them which system of the body might need some help. And then from there, we give them access to the science, like let their body tell them exactly from their test results exactly what's needed, right? So we go symptoms-based conversation. We invite them to the science, AKA buying the lab that you are giving them access to buy, okay? And then on the back end, we present the solutions, and those are their different opportunities to work with us. Now, everybody in my private mastermind and practitioner accelerator, I want them to have 3, right? So Jessica, 3 offers, right? We know that. Okay. You guys know I want you to have high-end one-on-one. That's your, eventually you'll do less of that, right? So high-end one-on-one. Mid-tier is your live rolling evergreen offer. And the third version, which you don't even have to promote this on the back end, but I like you to have it, a DIY version of your program. And that is so that if you get somebody, or you or your team get somebody on a call and they really can't afford to, work privately with you, and they can't even afford to be in your group program, which, you guys, that makes functional medicine so approachable now. And people need you guys. And if there's not accessible, a price accessible way to do that, they might just forego it. And that would be so sad. Hi, Summer. Hi, Jessica. So we want you to have your high-end one-on-one. Keep it. Yes, I know lots of you guys love it. I know also a lot of you who are like over it, or as soon as you have your group program rolling in, you're like, wait, this is a way more leveraged way for me to make money. I'm way more interested in that. That's totally normal. Okay. So high-end one-on-one, live rolling evergreen group program, and then your DIY. Okay. So there's the 3 offers I want you to have. So we go symptoms-based conversation and kitchen table language. We tell them which system of the body needs tested. Yay. That's you selling them the lab test funnel, giving them access to the test that you are using for your lab test funnel. And then on the back end of that, you use my Selling with Soul process to invite them to one of your solutions. I hope that you have 3 for now. If you just have one-on-one, yay you. You're going to get there where you have a rolling evergreen live program and where you have a DIY self-study version. You'll get there. Be patient. Okay. So that's the whole process. Now, when we put this lab invitation at the front of our funnel, you guys are asking, like, can I take the money myself? Yes, 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 yes. Please take the money yourself. Okay. So there's two ways to do it. You can either take them to the registration page, which is it's the sales page for the lab, you guys. Technically, in our process, we call it a registration page because you are getting their name, email, phone number, and that puts them into your CRM. And now we're off to the races. Now they're in your online world. You can market to them. Everything's hunky dory. We love that. Okay. So they come to the page. You all know what that page looks like if you're already in Lab Test Funnel and you're starting this process, which many of you are. I love it, love it, love it, love it. And I invite you guys, like, DM me with a link to your registration page. Like, how fun if we could like give some feedback on these live on these calls. That would be really fun. Be a little harder on Instagram, but we'll figure it out. Okay. Okay. So you're asking, can I collect the money yourself? Yes, 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 yes. There are multiple paths through Lab Test Funnel. Okay. The first decision that you have to make is, am I going to do this one-on-one, or am I going to do this what we call one-to-many? My preference for everyone is do one-to-many. The reason that I want you to do one-to-many instead of just one-to-one is because you can use the one-to-many track through Lab Test Funnel, even if you're only going to do one-on-one now. Okay. And it saves you all of the time and energy of having to circle back and, do one-on-one first and then circle back and have to do all the extra work to do one-to-many. It's really not that much more work, you guys. If you're doing one-to-one, you're just planning on offering the lab up front, and then you're going to send some helpful email information. You might house those videos anywhere you want. If you're going to do any videos, some people are just doing emails, and then they get people on the call. And what invariably ends up happening is you guys quickly end up getting frustrated with how many calls you're taking and how much you're repeating yourself like ad nauseum, right? Like, shoot me now. I don't want to have the same conversation over and over and over. The whole point of everything that we do here at Heal at Scale is to let you leverage yourself, leverage your expertise, leverage your time, leverage your bandwidth. And what better way to do that than to have the conversations that you would be having with people one-on-one in a consult, but you have that with the video, and you just, turn your phone sideways, record it, act like you're talking to one person who needs this information. And that way your time or your expertise, your expertise has been encapsulated in this video, and it lives on and on and on. And 1,000 people, 100,000 people can they can get your knowledge and see how much you care in that one video. Okay. So please, if I had it all my way, everyone who went through Lab Test Funnel would choose the one-to-many track. Okay. That's the first decision diamond in Lab Test Funnel that you have to make. Will I choose to serve only one-on-one, or will I choose to serve one-to-many? It's no secret. It's very clear in the lessons. I prefer that you choose one-on-one. Okay. The second decision that you have to make, so the second sort of decision diamond, which way will I go, this way or that way, is, do you want to take the money yourself, or do you want to send your prospects over to the lab? Okay, so we would in that case, we would do the registration page, and then the collection form pops, right? The registration form pops on the page, and they put in their name, email, phone number. Now they're in your CRM. Now we're off to the races. They're in your ecosphere. Okay. And then they land on a thank you page, right, for registering. And that page has a button on it that can link over to your lab shop. And you guys, we have a video in there for you to set up your lab shop. Okay, you can set up your lab shop at Avexia. That's my favorite because the signing physician fee is so low, and your access to labs is so vast, and the pricing on the labs is amazing. Okay, but I'm lab agnostic. I respect you. You make your choice. I totally get it. We have a video in there from Avexia showing you how to grab your link. We have a video in there from Rupa showing you how to get your link. We have a video in there from Get Healthy Store for you to grab your link. You know what I mean? So you do you. Okay, I want your business to thrive in whatever way suits you. Okay, I'm not gonna force you in one way or the other. Okay, if it was me, I would use Avexia because the fee for the signing physician, I will just say this, like numbers wise, it's more cost effective to do it through Evexia. So when I was looking at this funnel well, you guys, if you came to the summit, you saw me talking with Dr. Jennifer. And what my conversation with her was, hey, if you're paying like a $25 or $30 per test fee to order it through a signing physician, which is what you want, you guys, because remember, when you're using your labs as part of your marketing, those labs are being made available to prospects, people who are not yet patients, not yet clients. So remember that brick wall that we talked about, you have to keep prospects on one side of the wall, only order through a signing physician, okay? And then on the other side of the brick wall, clients, patients, yeah, order through your account, order on your license, do that because they have a clear agreement with you. So they belong in your world. You are truly providing medical care for them, okay? While they're still a prospect, they're still kind of figuring it out and getting the data that they need to drive smart decisions, like investing and working with you, okay? Okay, so when that fee is exponentially high, it is exponentially higher, okay? The Evexia fee is a slight fraction of what it is at other places. So that might not feel like a very big difference to you. And you might be like, oh, it's not worth me making the switch or whatever. That might not feel like a big difference to you if your labs have been, hidden away behind your marketing, your sales, enrollment, then people are on your protocol, which includes your lab testing. You guys are probably ordering like a handful of tests a week, right? But when you move it from behind all of that work and you position the invitation to get access to the functional medicine labs way up front in your marketing, the volume of sales, like the volume of testing that you stand to sell, is not linear. It's not linear, you guys. It's exponential, right? So when you factor in the difference to have that test ordered through a signing physician and you use a multiplier instead of, just one more or two more tests, you're like adding a zero to the number of tests, it becomes really, really important. Hi, friends. Hi, Dr. Lopez. Hi, Yona. When it's an exponentially more tests. So if it's, it's not one or two or three tests, but it's 10 or 100 or 1,000 tests, that charge for ordering through a signing physician becomes really important in your bottom line financials every month. Okay. So be smart. Okay. All right. So we've made the decision. Am I going to serve one-to-one or one-to-many? Now let's circle back to the next decision. You are going to choose whether you're going to take the money yourself or you're going to send people over to the lab and they just pay at the lab. Okay, so let's talk about what happens in both instances. If you decide I'm going to have my registration page and then the form is going to pop to collect their name, email, phone number. Now they're in your world. Yay. Then what page are they going to land on? Next, they're going to land on the thank you page. And the thank you page is going to tell them, hey, smart move. Now you have one more step to take. You're going to click the button below this video and you're going to be taken directly to the test on the lab that I trust. And that would be wherever you chose to do it, okay? And that's going to go to your lab shop. Again, there is a video inside the lab test portal that you can choose from. It shows you how to grab the link that button goes to at Evexia, at Rupa, at Get Healthy Store, or whatever you want. You can replicate the process if you're ordering direct through a favorite lab that, I don't know about or I haven't mentioned here. But that button is going to take them over to the lab with the test that you're selling them already in the cart, already the educational resource fee added on, and it should total to the price that you told them the lab was going to cost. Okay. Let me tell you about the reason that some practitioners do it that way. Okay. When you do it that way, you still get the CRM, right? You get to still get the person in your CRM. So name, email, phone number collected. Now you can market to that person legally, effectively in the online space. That's a win for your business. Okay. You need those people on your email list. Anybody who tells you can do all your marketing on social and never do an email list, like I honestly do not believe that. What happens if your account gets shut down? What happened if that platform goes the way of MySpace? Remember when like everyone was wondering, is TikTok going to stay? Is it going to get shut down? Like, I don't want you stressing over that. I want people on your email list. So you got that win already. And then instead of taking the money yourself, you send them over to the lab. Some practitioners choose to do it this way because they don't want to bother with uploading the test orders to the lab. Okay. The other reason that they do it is because, let me give you an example. Okay. If you're using a hormone test that is maybe $300 or $400, okay, if you're using some of the higher end testing, then what can happen is you're like, okay, this test is $300 and I'm charging $400 total. So $100 education and resource fee and $300 for the test. Okay. There have been practitioners that have shared with me, look, I just am not that on top of my finances, Joy. Like, I'm not looking at this all the time. I'm not thinking about it. And what they accidentally did, okay, this is exactly what happened to someone in our community. Okay. They were like, racking up all this income from their lab test funnel, and they just weren't paying attention. They were not financially paying attention, and they were not taking into account, okay, I've pulled $400 into my business for all these labs that I've sold. Yay, that's a win. But they are forgetting, they're not keeping an eye that, like, oh, 300 of that is not mine. 300 of that needs to go to the cost of the labs, right? To COGS, right? Cost of goods. Cost of goods sold is COGS. That's what we're talking about here. Okay. So if their COGS are $300 and their profit is $100 and they're not paying attention to that, then what could easily happen is they take in all this money. Yay, yay, yay. Maybe they're even spending all that money. And then they get their lab bill at the end of the month and they're like, oh, I forgot. Like, that money wasn't all mine. Okay. A lot of, like, $300 needed to go to the lab. Now, personally, y'all need to put your big boy pants on or big girl pants on, and you need to be running your business by the numbers, okay? And I do think that, and I know it's not freaking popular to talk about money with you guys, but like, money, money, money. All of you should be waking up and saying, I love money. Money is just a currency that rewards you for all of the magic that you bring into the world. You guys transform people's health. That's absolutely magical, okay? So let's talk about money, okay? I believe you should be looking at your numbers. I believe you should know what you're making. You should know, what's my profit, what's my cost of goods, what you guys have to keep an eye on that, okay? Because you can't move the needle on things that you're not measuring. And if you're not measuring the money that you're taking in and the money that's going out, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, you need to do that, okay? You are a health entrepreneur. If you are not a health entrepreneur and you are not ready to run your business by the numbers, then quite frankly, go get a job and work for somebody else who's going to keep an eye on that and just take your salary and be happy with that. You know what I mean? When you're a health entrepreneur and you actually want to make it for the long haul, that means that you need to run your business by the numbers. Okay. So that whole payment pathway was put in place for people who were like, oh my God, that's very intimidating. I don't want to deal with that. And I don't want to take the time to, like, sorry, my dog is going nuts because our cleaning ladies are here. So that option was put into place for those of you who are like, I don't want to worry about this. I'm intimidated by taking in $400 and needing to pay the lab $300. Like, for me, I'm not worried about that stuff. Like, I would way rather that we do it the other way. Okay. So that is one pathway for accepting payment. But the question is, like, can I take the money myself? Yes, you will notice there are two tracks, one to one or one to many, and there are two tracks for payment. I'm going to take the money myself through an order form and collect the money. We use our order form in Kartra and take money through Stripe. Okay. Or I can just, on the thank you page, have a button that sends them over to the lab and they pay the lab. And then I receive a weekly payment from the lab for my education and resource fee, which is like the difference between, what you're charging, the lab cost, and what you're charging. Okay. So I much prefer that you go registration page and then send them to your order form. You take the money, you pay the lab, you earn the difference. Okay. That is a much preferred flow for two reasons. One, because there's not all of the price movement that can happen on any of your lab platforms, right? What if that lab price goes up by $2 or something small, right? But then the price that you said you were charging for the test on your lab sales page, and the price that ends up being calculated with the test that may be moved by $2 or something, and then your education and resource fee and shipping and all that, and the numbers don't align. Okay. So you said it was going to be, I don't know, $327 or something. And then they get there and it's 342 or something because of all the numbers adding up. Okay. Like, I don't like that. Maybe I'm a control freak. Okay. But I prefer that I go, here's my sales page. They go to my order form. My price is there. I factored everything in, the test, the shipping, my education and resource fee. They pay me. And then, like, I'm just being accountable for paying my lab bill every month. I much prefer that because it's cleaner, right? I know what the financials are. And it's also cleaner from a marketing loop. Hey, Dr. Swander, I'm going to answer that question in 1 second. Okay. So I like it as a really clean marketing loop because here's the deal. If you send them over to the lab, your only option is to go ahead and grant access to your mini member portal that provides like the helpful information. Remember, you guys, between the time they order the lab and the time that they get the results, that's that marketing sweet spot. That's the marketing golden hour, okay, where you get to have people fall in love with your brand, you get to show up as smart and trustworthy and all that good stuff, okay? So if you send them over to the lab, you basically have to give everybody access to your mini member portal. So basically, they hit the sales page, the registration pops, name, email, phone number goes in, an email is triggered that gives them access to your member portal, even though you do not know for sure that they purchased the lab. Okay. Now, if you have to do it that way, okay, if you have to do it that way, the only upside is, okay, well, if everybody gets access to the mini member portal, they might go in there and they might get FOMO, right? They might be like, shit, I have access to the member portal, but I never bothered to hit that button on the thank you page. And I never ordered the test. And so that's why we teach you guys in the mini member portal, you need to constantly make sure people who are having FOMO, if you didn't do the order form and you're sending people to the lab, you need to have ever present, a button that lets them go and order the labs. Like, oh, by the way, if you didn't order your labs, if you forgot to order labs, if you missed the boat on ordering your labs, here is that. Okay. And I would literally have that on every page in my mini member portal if I wasn't taking the money myself. Okay. So you have the option to do it that way. So, but if they pay us directly, we don't get the physician signing like at Rupa. No, that's not correct, actually. You can still order those tests through the signing physician. As a matter of fact, I'm going to assume, Dr. Swander, that you are actually a doctor, like an MD doctor, okay? And this gets more strict the more certified you are, right? So, brick wall. Remember, Dr. Swander, there is a brick wall. I literally want you to picture it as a brick wall. People who are your prospects are on this side of the wall. All of those people, you should be ordering through a signing physician. If you're an MD, PhD, if you have a whole giant alphabet soup behind your name, I don't care. My personal belief, and you have to make your own legal decisions and financial decisions about how you run your business, but I'm going to tell you what I prefer, okay? Brick wall, prospects over here. Prospects, anything that's ordered from a lab should be through a signing physician because you don't have a medical agreement with them, dude. You don't have any arrangement, no signed contract, no forms, no nothing. So why would you want to give them access to labs? Because I feel like that feels like medical care. You know what I mean? And you don't have an agreement with them. So you really should be protecting yourself and not doing that. So that's what this side of the brick wall, okay? Other side of the brick wall, people who have come in through your funnel, okay? And now you've decided, Dr. Swander, are they going to work with me one-on-one for my high-end private client prices? Are they going to join my live rolling evergreen group program? Or are they going to join my, let's say, DIY self-study? Each one of those levels of care, Dr. Swander, would have its own agreements. If they're going to come physically into your clinic, you're going to have them sign all the new patient paperwork. If they join your program, at the point of purchase, they are clicking a box that agrees to your terms, right? This is not a replacement for medical care. This is education and entertainment to help you guide, whatever your legalese agreements are. And you all should have them, all of you. It's not my place to give you those legal wording. You all need to do that, okay? Even the DIY course is going to say, hey, these are the terms, right? I don't ever want you to do anything, okay, for people who are over here on the prospect side of that brick wall that's under your license, because they're still looky-loos, like until they actually say, whoa, Dr. Swander's amazing. Like, I'm going to work with him at this capacity or this capacity or this capacity, one-on-one, live group program, or DIY course. Until they know that, they haven't signed anything, they haven't clicked any box, they haven't paid with their credit card in a way that clarifies the agreement with you as either like being their provider if they're coming into clinic, or being a program participant, or even being, just getting online consulting from you. It's really, really important. Okay. So he's saying, so order manually via Rupa versus auto. Okay. Rupa, Avexia, if you're going to do this at scale, remember the signing physician for like ordering the test through a signing physician is exponentially cheaper at Avexia than it is at Rupa. And if you need access, just DM me. I have a link where you can just completely waive the $250 sign up fee over at Avexia, so you don't pay anything, and you can just have a separate account. Like, as a matter of fact, dude, what I would do is I would be like, hey, if you love Rupa and you want to do that for your clients, people who have like true agreements of one sort or another, great, order those through your existing Rupa account that you already love, right? And then for your online prospects, these people who are like, we don't know whether they're going to come into the Dr. Swander ecosphere, or if they're just going to hover out there and never do what it takes to turn their health around. We don't know yet, okay? So you could have your account at Avexia for high volume lab orders with your prospects, and then you could use your existing like Rupa account for people who already have a clear agreement with you. Okay. So that's what I would do. Okay. So just to summarize everything that we covered here, there are two very important decision diamonds that you will encounter when you're in the lab test funnel. The first is, do I want to choose to serve through my lab test funnel, at least in the one-on-one capacity or in the one-to-many capacity? My preference, it's no secret, is that you choose to serve one-to-many. I realize that if you choose one-to-many, that means that you need to encapsulate your expertise by recording videos that serve everyone who comes through your lab test funnel, okay? But I promise you, the people who choose one-on-one inevitably hit a point where they're like, oh my God, I'm like repeating myself so much. It really is worth it. And if you're camera shy, I want you to just use the trick that I've shared with you guys before. Pretend you're talking to one client who's really eager to hear what you have to say. Don't worry about everybody else. Don't think of yourself as in front of a million people or even 100 people. Just think of yourself having a conversation with just one person, and get your ego out of the way, dude. Dude, all of you. It's not about you. Okay. Like, people don't care what you look like. If you're changing their life, if you're elevating your health, they don't care if you mess up your words like I just did, right? They don't care if your freaking hair is all over the place like mine. They don't care about anything. They don't care if you're hot or not. All they care about is that what comes across in your video is your expertise, how much you care about them, right? That they feel like seen and heard by you, and that they see a path forward to get out of the pain that they're in. That's all they care about, okay? So if you're nervous to go one-to-many because of video, please just knock it off, let it go. Just the only thing that has to come through is how much you care, okay? So that's the first decision diamond, one-to-one or one-to-many. Please choose one-to-many, okay? I want to protect your time. Then it's, do I want to collect the money myself on the order form and take that capital in, knowing that I always need to reserve funds to pay my lab bill at the end of the month? I love that. It's a closed loop, okay? You never have to worry about, okay, if there's a $2 or $3, I mean, I shouldn't say you never have to worry. You do have to keep an eye on, you guys, has the price of that test gone up a little bit? Then I need to circle back and I need to adjust my pricing in my lab test funnel. But hi, that's just like business person 101. Like, you need to know your cogs on everything, and you need to know your profit on everything. Hi, welcome to being a business owner. You know what I mean? So I think all in all, it's definitely well worth it to choose the one-to-many path and to choose the I go ahead and accept the payment myself path. Okay. Now, I will tell you that when you hit high volume with your labs, you do need to get to the point of exporting the CSV, which is very easy to do in Kartra. It's very easy to do in Go High Level. Okay. You're going to export every day, and then you're going to import that into your lab account that you use assigning physician on. Okay. Because if you've got hundreds of orders, you need to do that via CSV file. You don't want to manually be typing that shit in. That's crazy. You don't want to do that. Okay. But I want to let you guys know, for those of you who are like, okay, Joy, that might take me or my staff an extra, 5-10 minutes tops, download the CSV file, upload it over here. The backend integration using a simple Zapier. And for those of you who are freaking out and you don't know what Zapier is, don't worry about it. Okay. Those simple integrations are coming. The labs that we are in communication with are both like working hard to be like, okay, yeah, how do we make this super, super simple? How do we automate this? And some of you who are already experts at using Zapier, you might already be doing that. Okay. But I recognize that when you get to high volume orders, you do have to export the CSV file of buyers and then upload that CSV file into the orders of your lab on the account that you use assigning physician. And I do realize that is an extra 5 minutes on one side and 5 minutes on the other side. Just know that it is possible to do backend Zapier integrations, and that the labs are working hard to make sure that we can just connect these two things. And that will be a step that you won't have to take in the future. And we're not there yet. But you know what? 5 minutes to download is less. It doesn't take me 5 minutes to download a CSV file. It takes less than that. You know what I mean? That whole process, when you're selling upfront labs at scale, it's totally worth the time to do that. Okay. So that's my favorite way of doing it. Either way works. Okay. So if you're just the type of person who's like, wow, I'm really nervous about collecting the $400 for the lab, and then, knowing that I have to pay out $300 and I only get to keep 100. If that's you, and if it's just completely anxiety provoking, then just use the method where you send them to the lab sales page, pop the opt-in box so you collect name, email, phone number, and then let them land on the thank you page. On that page, it'll have a video that says, hey, you're almost done. Just click the button below this video. You'll go directly to my favorite lab. The lab will already be in your cart and you can get checked out, and it's going to be sent to your house. That totally works. It's totally fine. That's why we built it both ways. Okay. But if I had it all my way, then everybody would be using the one-to-many method, and they would be taking the money themselves with the order form, and then they would, just pay their lab bill at the end of the month. Okay. Both work. You do you. I have a strong personality. Don't let me bowl you over. Okay. You do what feels best for your business. Okay. But that's what I wanted to address today. Got DMs about that, got questions in the group, got some emails about it. So those are the big decisions that you have to make. Please make the one that feels best for you. If you have questions, please DM me, Real Joy Houston over on Instagram, or you can hit me up, Joy Houston, on Facebook. If you're not already in the free Heal at Scale Facebook group, that's a good place to go to get, feedback, questions answered. I would love to see some of your registration pages, okay? Because if there's any mistake that you guys will consistently make, it's not getting the language right. Now, when you're in Lab Test Funnel, if you're in the Lab Test Funnel program, I literally built the AI prompts in such a way that you should be getting symptoms-based language, like very kitchen table conversation kind of stuff, not medical jargon. So if you're using the prompts that I gave you, you should be having stellar copy for your lab sales page. Okay. But I want to see what you guys are doing. I want to see how you guys are winning with this. Okay. Happy Friday. I hope you guys have an excellent weekend. If you have more questions for me, remember, I tithe with my time on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific time, Fridays at noon Pacific time. Take advantage. Okay. Take advantage. I want you guys to get your questions answered. I don't want to stay high level. I want to get into the weeds on what's going on with you, and let's solve those problems. Because if you're having that problem, chances are other practitioners in other places are having that same problem. And we're here to talk about that. Okay. We're not going to bury it. We're just going to pull it right out to the front of our conversation, and we're going to solve it together. All right. We are better together. All right. See you guys. Have a happy weekend.